Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 random run, where we take a random character, random weapon, and try to beat Danger 5 with it. Hope you're all doing well. Let's see what the game has for me today. We've got the Fisherman. Okay, so obviously this is one of, if not the hardest character for random weapon runs. Because not only is it just an extremely difficult character overall, and there are some weapons that are very bad for it, also, one of the skills with Fisherman is knowing how many baits you can buy every wave, and if you haven't played that run before, you may not have a good sense of how many baits you can actually survive, given the weapon that you have and everything. So let's go ahead and roll here, and we've got rocks. I'm not sure if I've done this before, let me check. And it looks like I have not, so let's see if we can make this work. Rocks, I think this is not actually a bad weapon for Fisherman. The downside is it attacks very slowly, but it's got high base damage, so it should let us clear a number of the lampreys fairly quickly. And of course it gives us a lot of defensive stats. One downside though is the very slow move speed that we're going to have because the blunt weapon tag is going to make it much more difficult for us to be able to get ahead of the lampreys. I could just take 5 attack speed. I could also take 5 harvesting. Fisherman, of course, is going to rely on harvesting for your income, because we only get 50% material drops from enemies. So we're relying on buying baits for damage and harvesting, and we need to find extra harvesting as well. But I think I'm just going to take the attack speed here, because rock is a super slow attacking weapon. We're going to need to be able to attack quite quickly in order to kill all the lampreys that spawn. The question that I have is, do I think I can get away with buying a second bait this wave? I think I'm going to go with no until I've at least rolled like 2 more rocks. I think if I get 1 more rock, I'll buy another bait. I'm going to lock this coupon here because that's a good enough item to lock. And yeah, so given that we only found 3 rocks, I am going to reroll 1 more time. Super expensive, really unlucky not to find another rock because it's a very, very cheap weapon, so you're fairly likely to find more than 3 of them. But given that we only found 3, I'm not going to buy a second bait, and you can see that was a pretty good decision because while we're able to comfortably survive 1 bait, 2 would have been very dangerous, I think. Next wave, when I have 6 rocks, I'm going to try to buy 2 baits if possible. And we're still making okay money at this point. A turret will have almost no effect on this character because, unless we find specifically fairy, in which case it'll give us more regeneration, but the turret's damage will just never contribute to clearing the lampreys, which is the only thing we care about. It doesn't benefit from the extra % damage that we get from baits. So we're passing on the turret. I'm going to take 10 luck here. We will buy a rock, buy a bait. We're going to keep the coupon locked because I need to roll for rocks here. And then I'm going to roll again, buy another bait, or buy another rock. Now that we've gotten 6 rocks, I'm going to go up to a second bait. That's maybe a little bit aggressive, but we're going to play it a little safe because I have such slow movement speed and no regeneration currently. But we do need to get ahead of the power curve, otherwise this character is going to start struggling very quickly. Okay, nice. So, we're playing, a little on the conservative side because I'm not sure how quickly we're going to kill the lampreys, but it looks like fairly quickly. So if I get a little bit of healing, I think we can get away with buying 3 baits next wave. Obviously, because I haven't played this run before, I'm limit testing, I'm learning as we go. Here I'm going to take 2 melee damage over the harvesting, because when you're buying this much % damage on the baits, even a small amount of melee damage, especially combined with rocks, 100% damage scaling, will allow us to clear the enemies much faster. I could take 2 regen, but I think 5% more attack speed is going to be the way to go. Then we'll buy the coupon, we'll buy a rock, buy a bait. This is going to give us a bunch of armor as we level these up, which is also very helpful. And then we'll take another rock, buy a bait, take... I don't really care about. Dodge we probably won't be building, so I'm going to pass on the riposte. But I am going to buy a 3rd bait to try to get a little bit ahead of the damage curve, and then we'll lock another rock. So it looks like I was a little over conservative the first 2 waves. We probably could have done 2 baits on wave 1 and 3 baits on wave 2 without too much difficulty, and then we'd be a little bit ahead of where we are currently. But making sure that we can survive is very important here. Okay, I took those hits. It's usually not the initial lampreys spawns that get you, by the way. It's the ones that spawn later in the wave. And those two spawning together has put me at 2 HP, which obviously is super dangerous. So I need to have really good movement for the rest of the wave here. And we're making very little money because we're quite far behind in terms of harvesting and only get 50%, only get 50% of our item drops or material drops from enemies. Here, I'm going to take 4 more melee damage, because if I can just one-shot the lampreys, that will help a ton. We'll buy another bait. So, although we're making very little money every wave, it's less bad than it looks, because we're getting a lot of free stats from our weapon, and of course, we're able to buy 8% damage and 2 harvesting for 1 material every wave. So, we do have that going for us. I'm going to go ahead and buy another rock and another bait. Pearl, we don't really want to buy percent damage, because when we buy bait, it is always more efficient than any other way of buying percent damage. I've already bought 3 more baits, so I don't think I want to go to 4, so we're just going to go to wave 5 now. If I get some more movement speed and some more healing of some kind, then we can maybe go to 4 baits in a wave. But for now, I'm just going to have to tank through the damage from the lampreys early. Part of what we're having to do here also is play recovery a little bit, because I played too conservatively in the first couple waves. You know, I didn't know how many baits we could survive, so I played it safe since we're trying to go for win streaks here. But now that has set me behind economically and in terms of our damage output, so I need to be able to recover that over the next couple waves. Lens, I'm going to recycle. 5 more harvesting I could take, but I think I'm just going to reroll here. I feel like we can do better. I could take an armor. I could take 5 luck. I think I'm just going to take 1 armor. We'll buy a bait and then roll. Definitely continuing to upgrade these rocks. Very important to upgrade these. We'll buy another bait. Blindfold, how badly do I want dodge on this character? Not that badly. It'll be very expensive to get enough dodge that it matters, so I'm going to pass on that. I'm also going to pass on the bowler hat. I'm going to keep upgrading our rocks to make sure that we have as much armor and HP as possible. Do I want a 4th bait this wave? I think still not. I think we're going to focus on 3 baits a wave until I'm a little bit stronger. And then we'll buy another rock here. I'm going to roll 1 more time because we could potentially buy yet another rock if we find one. On wave 5, you're guaranteed to see a weapon in the shop, so you can get away with, or you want to roll more aggressively to find your weapons. And rock as a weapon upgrades really well. So I think if I find just a little bit more regeneration of some kind, then we can push up to 4 baits a wave pretty easily. My damage is quite good. We were able to clear these lampreys quite quickly. When I did the Fisherman challenge, back when that was really, really hard in GMO, check out that video too. It's a very interesting one. I did the math on how much health the lampreys have on every wave and like how many baits we'd need to buy to one-shot them. I don't remember that math though. It would be pretty useful right about now, but you don't need to memorize all the stats for every wave in order to win with the Fisherman. Black belt, awesome find. Very happy to get some XP gain. That's going to give us a lot of free stats, and the melee damage is very relevant as well. Here I'm going to reroll, and then we'll take 10 more luck and 3 more regeneration. We're up to 6 regen. That's not bad. Gonna buy another bait and a penguin. Roll here. Bait and a lost duck and a reroll. And 1 more bait. Small fish does cost me attack speed, but helps us kill the lampreys a little bit faster. So might still be good to pick up. I think I will for 33, and then I'm gonna do a reroll. And then here's the question. Obviously, you never buy Weird Ghost on the Fisherman. Do I think I can get away with 4 baits? I do believe I can. So we're going to buy a 4th bait and then just hope that we can make it through. Okay, Cursed Lamprey spawning, quite dangerous. I did kill that Curse Alien, but we have the defensive stats to tank through. And I've got enough regen that I can kind of survive the incidental chip damage that we're going to take. Although not if I take every hit for the rest of the wave. It's kind of hard not to tank hits with this character because our weapons attack so slow. So if I could get a little more attack speed, it would help me not take damage a lot. You can move into the lampreys like that in order to prevent them charging, although I did sort of mess up my movement there. And then here, I was able to walk directly at them to prevent them from charging, because it takes them a little while to kind of wind up before they charge. So if you walk directly at them or along their direction of travel, you can often prevent the charge and prevent them from firing their projectiles. I take 3 more regen here. I think that's the thing that we need the most. I do want attack speed, but obviously we're going to take damage constantly, so the crystal is not going to be valuable for this character. On the other hand, lure is very good. We'll take another bait. I'm tempted by the glasses here. Extra range could actually help us hit the lampreys a little sooner. Range is typically a very bad stat, but on Fisherman with rock specifically, I think it is worth grabbing. Corrupted Shard, normally I wouldn't buy this because the 3% damage is not very good when we have such high percent damage already, but here I am going to buy it because it gets me a free reroll, so it comes at a fairly significant discount. Buy a bait, I'm going to buy a plant, lock a helmet, I still want increased armor, and then I'm going to roll one more time and buy another bait. So we were able to buy 4 baits. We're going to go to wave 8 here. Losing track of how many baits I buy is like my worst habit on this character, so I'm going to miscount at least once or twice during this run, and I apologize for that. If I was playing off camera, it would be easier because I would just, you know, keep a count in my head out loud, but since I'm also talking to you guys, it's harder to do that. So I'm just going to blame you if I make a mistake. Definitely killing these loot aliens. That gives us some healing. We also, as more lampreys spawn throughout the middle of the wave, you want to clear them pretty quickly. Otherwise, you can start to get overwhelmed just with the sheer number of projectiles on the field. Triple items is quite good, though. We have no explosion, so we're recycling that. I will take a fishhook. We actually could end up with a fairly significant curse sub-theme. Although rock only has 1.5x critical damage, it comes with a very high base crit chance. So building some crit chance can be pretty good on this character, and I will take the sunglasses, because you can then build things like Tentacle or Hunting Trophy. Tentacle would help solve a lot of our healing problems, and Hunting Trophy would entirely solve our economy problems if we got one of those. So building some crit chance in case we find those items is very helpful. We're going up to 2 baits here. Spicy sauce. I do want more max HP, but I don't think I want to spend 76 on 3 max HP. The alien worm I'm also not going to take. Do I want the hedgehog? It is a huge amount of damage increase, so I probably will just take 2 melee damage there. Definitely taking a bait. We'll roll past these other things, and we'll take a 4th bait again. Then I'm going to roll. I want the Clockwork Wasp because my move speed is terrible. And then let's take a recycling machine. I will also lock a cake here because I do want to increase my max HP. You need enough max HP on this character to survive the burst damage that you take at the start of the wave, like so. Alright, so 4 baits is starting to get a little spooky, especially because I'm taking a bunch of extra damage in the middle of the wave, because our attack speed is poor, so enemies are getting to me before I can kill them. Even 1 point of consumable heal would go such a long way to fixing this character's problems as well, so the fact that we haven't found a lemonade or a weird food or even better, a jerky, is definitely setting us behind on this character. Kind of playing on the razor's edge right now because we're just taking constant damage from all the horde aliens. So only 300 materials that wave, definitely not great, but We did get a bandana, which we can recycle. I'm going to take the melee damage here for sure. And then I do want dodge, but let's grab 4 regeneration. I also have got to find some movement speed. This is getting really out of hand. Do I want armor or regen? I think or HP. I think I'm just going to take 3 regen, though. Getting our healing high enough that we can actually tank enemy attacks and then still survive is very important. We'll buy a bait here. I'm going to roll, take a rock, tentacle, an amazing find. This is exactly what I was talking about. And let's see. So we had 24 baits. We're up to 26 now. So I've bought 2. I will buy a 3rd. We'll buy a bag. Still hurts my movement speed, but not terrible either. I'm going to take the clover. 20 luck is really nice, and we can maybe start building dodge. And then I will buy 1 more bait here, because that will continue to improve our harvesting and damage, and we need to be constantly boosting these stats, of course. Also, on the Fisherman, you should almost never buy cursed baits, because cursed bait doesn't show this anywhere on the item, but a cursed bait will spawn additional lampreys. So it spawns twice as many, or almost twice as many, as the normal bait. So you can end up accidentally spawning dozens more lampreys than you think you're going to, if you have enough curse and start buying cursed bait. So be very, very careful and cognizant of that. The tentacle is paying off tremendously. The amount of healing that we're getting from that is really helping to keep us afloat here. And if we just get a little more crit chance, that will be a massive deal. I'll take a corrupted shard still. I have some dodge locked in the shop, so I could buy melee damage or dodge, but let's buy dodge, just get tankier. I do want crit chance, I want armor, but I think I want attack speed more than either of those stats for this character. Sadly, our fishhook didn't do anything. 15% pity bonus on the fishhook, of course. We'll take a clover, going up to 12% dodge. Buy a bait. I'm going to roll. Go ahead and buy another rock. And a bait. And silver bullet. So I've bought 2 baits so far. I'll buy the silver bullet. Actually, I might lock the silver bullet, because we don't need it this wave. And I can maybe find something else better. And then potentially we can get it cursed with the fishhook, which would be awesome. So let's go to 32 baits, and even cursed the whetstone is not going to be particularly helpful, so let's roll here. I really want to find stuff to lock for the fishhook, so I'll roll 1 more time, but I'm just going to buy the leather vest, because it's too strong just to be able to have that additional defensive capability this wave. I should also probably be going to level 4 rocks instead of level 3 to maximize my armor. Because the level 4 rock gives you an extra armor. The level 3 rock just gives you more HP compared to the level 2. So going to level 4 will get you more armor overall. And obviously, increased HP is also nice, but we really care about our armor on this character. 10 seconds, and I'm starting to take a lot of damage, so I have to be quite careful here. I'm going to navigate these groupings of projectiles and move away, but our healing is really not keeping up. Very happy to get this leather vest, an amazing find for us. I'll take a banner here, and then 3 more armor, probably. Yep, more armor is just so good for this character. Okay, we did get the silver bullet curse. That's going to help us kill elites really fast, which this character already does quite well, but will be even better. So if I buy this rock, right, and go to a level 3 rock, we don't gain additional armor. We just gain 2 max HP. If I combine here into a level 4 rock and buy another level 2, then we've actually increased our armor by 1. So very nice to be able to do that. I've already bought 1 bait this wave. I think we're going to go ahead and just buy 2. We don't need to buy too many baits because we're going into an elite wave, so obviously we want to buy fewer baits going into an elite wave. Handcuffs I don't really need. Let's roll here. I don't want the cursed bait. Cursed wisdom I would take, and I guess cursed boxing glove I would take as well. So we should be able to just pop the elite quite quickly. I'm going to go ahead and clear the lampreys because they're actually much more dangerous than the elite is. And then we should be able to kill this before the next lamprey wave spawns. I guess not quite, but close enough. And that way we can maintain high HP. Honestly, I think if I had bought the right number of baits in the first couple waves, so we were a little more ahead economically, Rock for Fisherman would actually just be a very solid choice, because it's got high base damage, it gives you a ton of defensive stats, which the character needs. So I'm feeling like this is a fairly good weapon for the character. I know I say this every time I roll Rock, but I've been really impressed with Rock as a weapon. I always thought it was an underrated weapon. A lot of people thought it was like the worst in the game, and I never thought that was the case, because getting free stats, defensive stats from your weapon is so good. But I think that after the buff, this weapon is actually just a very solid one. Bloody Hand, taking constant damage, quite dangerous on this character. And we have minus 5% lifesteal currently, so we would only get 14% damage and 7% lifesteal. I have almost never in my life passed this item, but in this case, I think we have to pass the Bloody Hand. This is constant damage, so it basically lowers our regeneration by 10, and we won't get almost any lifesteal value with how slow our weapons attack, and we don't care about the percent damage at all, because we get thousands of percent damage from baits. I'm going to recycle the snail, because I actually want my move speed to increase. And then here, I could take 5 melee damage. I'm going to roll once and see if we can find some dodge, maybe, or movement speed. I guess I'll take 13 luck. Here, I am going to just buy a rock. We'll buy a bait. The wisdom, sadly, did not get cursed. And I definitely don't want to buy it if it's not cursed. Because... And I shouldn't have locked this at all, because, of course, our percentage damage, we get so much more efficiently from baits. So it was a mistake to lock the wisdom, because even cursed, it wouldn't be good for the character. So I've bought one bait so far. Let's buy one more, and then we'll buy one more, and roll again. Garden is a decent amount of healing, so I'm going to go for 4 baits this wave, buy a garden. Alien Tongue can help us heal as well, so I'll buy that. Okay, great. A Cursed Rock, that's exactly what we were hoping for most. This gives us additional armor as well as the extra damage stats and everything that it gets, so truly awesome find. Go ahead and roll here, and I'm going to roll one more time. I am going to combine. So now that we have, I talked about wanting to go up to level 4 rocks. Now that we have a Cursed Rock, we really want to go ahead and combine that, because when we get that to max level, it's going to be much more valuable. Take an Insanity as well, and then we don't have enough to reroll to lock anything for our fishhook, so we're just going to wave 13 here. Curse is definitely a risky stat for the Fisherman, because the Cursed Lampreys are super dangerous, but this character has enough defensive stats that we can get away with it, and cursed items are so powerful that I think still worth doing. I would love to get a little more dodge. We've got just enough that the dodge is worth something, but not super efficient yet, because dodge gets better the more of it you have. So if we just get a little bit more dodge, we'll be in great shape. Power generator, I don't need the percent damage, and 92 materials is good. Very happy to get this improved tools, because attack speed is excellent, and we have a garden as well. And then Ooh, putting my words to the test here. Do I want 20 attack speed or 12 dodge? I think I'm going to take the dodge. Just getting to 60 dodge is so good for us. I'm going to buy that. We'll definitely take a cursed coupon here. Losing 6 attack speed, but we gain 20 HP. I think I will take the stone skin. So that's 2 baits, buy a stone skin, roll, get 3 baits. I don't need any of these percent damage items. I need to keep reminding myself of that. And then we'll take 4 baits, we'll buy a tentacle, we'll roll again. Baby squid I will still definitely take, especially if it gets cursed. And then let's do one more reroll to see if I can curse something. I'll lock the scarf. If it gets cursed, I'll buy it. If it doesn't, I probably won't, because faster speed enemies on a horde wave when we're the fisherman, too dangerous. So if we get it cursed, it'll reduce the penalty here, and the increased movement speed that enemies get will be lessened. So if the fishhook works on the scarf, we'll buy it, and if not, we will probably avoid buying it. Even though it's all stats that we want, the danger is just too high. Ooh, double cursed goober. Wave 14 is the most dangerous wave on Crash Zone in general, but even more so for the fisherman, because you're already worried about getting overwhelmed by enemy projectiles, and you already have somewhat constrained movements because of all of the lampreys on the field. So it's very hard not to get tons of goobers spawning and start getting overwhelmed by the goober projectiles as well as the lamprey ones. That said, my defensive stats are now quite excellent, so we're in significantly better shape. We can tank through a lot of this incoming aggro. Gonna take some damage here just to clear a few enemies before the end of the wave if possible. Couldn't quite get that tree. Here, I'm gonna reroll, and I just want more luck. Luck is also a healing stat for this character, because we're killing a lot of enemies. Luck increases the chance that that enemy drops fruit, so we heal back up. But I think I'm gonna roll here, and I'll just take 2 armor. Even more armor is still good. So we're not taking the scarf because it didn't get cursed. I'll take the baby squid, even though it also didn't get cursed. What's our fishhook at, by the way? 20%? Yep. Classic. We'll take 1 bait here. Roll, take another bait. We don't need Frozen Heart, so let's buy another bait. And we don't need Strange Book, even cursed, unfortunately. And roll 1 more time. I'll buy 1 more bait. I don't want the alien baby. We have plenty of HP, and I don't need to increase enemy health. Roll here. First bait we're definitely avoiding, but I'll take a mastery and go to wave 15. Even though this is a boss wave, it's a horde wave, so I felt like we could get away with buying 4 baits here. I could probably go up to 5 baits per wave, but I'm not really feeling any pressure to do so. And the difference between 4 and 5 baits for the fisherman is it's the biggest jump in difficulty when you're buying a bunch of baits. Going from 1 to 2 is a pretty big difficulty spike. Going from 2 to 3 is an even larger difficulty spike. 3 to 4 is typically not that big a deal, but going from 4 to 5, just because of the sheer number of enemies, you really hit a breakpoint where it becomes extremely difficult to survive. You can see already just how much chaos we're having to live through, and luckily we are very tanky, but just 1 more bait, and so if we were at lower health, then we would be in a lot more trouble there. Double tentacle, by the way, an absolute all-star in this run so far. 241 healing from the tentacles. Take the sunglasses. Jerky, amazing. Very, very happy to get that. I will take 2 armor as well. Armor scales linearly, so each point of armor is worth exactly as much effective HP as the armor before it. So it's just always good to stack armor as much as you can. I'm going to go ahead and combine here and get a cursed level 4 rock, which increases my armor significantly. And then we will buy another rock here. I'm going to take a duct tape for more armor. I haven't yet bought a bait, so let's buy 1, 2, more armor. I'll take gambling token as well, going up to 44 dodge. 3, very happy to get a lemonade as well. And then I'm going to reroll. We'll buy a 4th bait, and I will lock a black belt. Still a pretty good item for us, especially if it gets cursed. Neither of these do we care about getting cursed, though. Not only have we rolled somewhat unlucky on actually proccing the fishhook, but we've also just not found items that we want to lock for fishhook. In part, that's because Fisherman just has to be pickier about its items than other characters. You're playing with less money. You don't need to buy any percent damage items or anything like that, because bait is just more efficient at doing that. So you will often end up buying many fewer, or buying a smaller proportion of the items that you see are worth buying, so fishhook is just less valuable because there's less stuff you want to lock. I'm glad I'm tanky, because I am not even... My move speed is so low that I am not even attempting to dodge here. Cape, amazing find. Yes, it cost me 2 melee damage, but 20% dodge gets us to dodge cap right away, which is awesome. Do I just take 8 melee damage here? I'm going to roll, though. This is a level 20, and yeah, this is what I was hoping for. I really wanted to get some more movement speed. Now, we can go ahead and buy another Cursed Rock. We can buy Bait and Black Belt. Fishhook, continuing to unimpress. Community support, excellent for this character. Obviously, there's going to be tons of enemies on the field at any given time, so community support is always going to be really solid. Let's lock this rock here. We'll buy a bait. Corrupted Shard, we're still going to pass on. I'll buy another bait, and then I'm going to reroll. And Lumberjack Shirt, Cursed, I would buy. I probably won't buy it not cursed because we one-shot trees anyways, but if we get it cursed, it gets more tree spawns, which is good. And a cursed medical turret would actually be pretty nice. We have the improved tools, so our constructs attack really fast. That means a lot of healing from medical turret. Yeah, honestly, I'm feeling like rocks on the Fisherman, really not a bad choice at all. Especially if you buy a couple more baits in the early waves and snowball ahead. Because I was playing this run from a position of weakness because I didn't buy baits aggressively in the early waves. Because, like I said, hadn't practiced the run, so I don't know how many I can clear. Had to play it a little safe because we're going for a 100% win rate. But in a normal run, where you're just trying to like get a win on Danger 5, you could try it a couple times, experiment, see how many baits you could survive, and then you would be able to be much more ahead in terms of economy and damage than we were in this run. I do want 20 luck, but I think I want 4 regen more. Are you kidding me? Oh, fishhook. So we won't buy the Lumberjack Shirt. I'm not going to buy Medical Turret when it's not cursed either. I will, of course, upgrade our rock. 1 bait there, 2 here, and reroll. Fairy, an amazing find. 3 baits. I'll just buy the Fairy. I could wait to try to get it cursed with our super high pity bonus, but I want the regen just going into the elite fight. So I have bought 3 baits. Do I think I want 4 going into an elite fight? Probably not. I'll take a Cauldron, though, and we'll do a reroll. We'll lock a Shady Potion. I'll lock Ugly Tooth as well. If this gets cursed, it could be fairly useful, I suppose. No, because we just want to one-shot everything that we hit. So even though it's worth a regen, I think we still wouldn't buy it. Fairly difficult elite for melee characters to fight, just because of its... it runs past you, but when you do 1,000 damage a hit, it's a little easier to fight most things. And now we've kind of turned the corner on Fisherman. Once you snowball enough ahead of the map and get, you know, wildly more damage than you're sort of supposed to have at this point in the game, then it becomes much, much easier. And, of course, we've gotten our defensive stats online pretty effectively, so now we're not really in danger of just dying immediately. Still not actually killing most enemies, though, because our attack speed is terrible. I think a lot of the time you play this run, you would end up with more attack speed. Something like a hunting trophy or a black flag would also have been really nice. I'll take this. It does cost me a regen because we have fairy, so we gain 2 but lose 3, but all of these other stats are awesome, of course. Take a coupon. Even this late, it'll still be useful. Reroll here, 20% attack speed is perfect. Hunting trophy will sadly not pay for itself on the last wave, so let's go ahead and buy bait. We'll reroll here. I don't have a level 3 rock to upgrade, so let's go ahead and buy this. We'll buy bait. I will buy a butterfly, because while the lifesteal isn't useful, the regen, it's still not nothing, and the regen is very useful. And I'm not going to buy one that doesn't give us the regen, though. I have now officially forgotten how many baits I have purchased, but you know what? Let's just go kind of nuts, and we'll just buy as many baits as we can afford on this wave, which is only one more, but that's fine. I'll take a banner and a mouse as well. Increased enemy spawns, quite dangerous for fishermen, but going into the last wave... Actually, I think I am going to pass on the mouse here. We'll take the banner, though. Especially if it gets cursed. So I think I only bought like 5 baits this wave, might be 6, but I think we should be okay. This is going to end up being a somewhat low bait fisherman run. At least for the way I like to play this character. I like to end up with hundreds of bait by the end of a fisherman run when you are playing with a weapon that you've experimented with before and everything. But given that I am not doing that, we're going to end up with a somewhat low bait count, but we should still easily have the damage to clear the bosses quickly enough that we won't be under a lot of health pressure from the lamprey spawns. And of course, we do get constant lamprey spawns even in the boss wave. So if you don't have the damage and survivability to tank through those, you can be in a lot of trouble. But we have managed to arrange it in such a way that we do have that damage and survivability. Hopefully, at least. We'll take a jelly here for the regen mostly, and then, yeah, I still want more move speed. Losing crit chance is bad, but move speed is good. We'll take 8 melee damage. That will just help us pop the bosses a lot faster. Take a banner. I'll buy a bait here. Pass on Lost Duck. Go ahead and buy a rock and another bait. We're passing on Wisdom. I already talked about why that was a bad idea to buy. Take a bait as well. Propeller Hat, yes. Toxic Sludge, no. Actually, we're over dodge cap, so we can buy that anyways. And then Peaceful Bee would cost me a melee damage, so let's keep re-rolling. I'm not going to buy more baits because I don't want to just get overwhelmed. Wow, the Cursed Tardigrade wouldn't be very good because you just take a bunch of hits at the beginning of a wave. It just is a nice item if you plan to go for endless mode, so I was like, oh hey, Cursed Tardigrade, that would be good in a lot of endless mode runs. Fisherman, not a great endless character because you get so many lamprey spawns. Alright, let's see if we can kill the bosses and get a win with the hardest character in the game for random weapon challenges, and we'll give this a go. So a lot of lamprey spawns, but fortunately we can just pop them while we're DPSing the bosses. Got that first one, and we have defeated the second one, and there you go. That's the Fisherman. This is definitely a character I was very worried about, so this is a really nice one to have done with. Very happy to get a Fisherman win. We ended up with only 65 baits, highly on the low side. I usually get like minimum 100 baits on a Fisherman run, but we ended up just buying 4 per wave, just in order to make sure that we weren't putting ourselves in undue danger. Coupons saved us 724, so really nice. Triple Plant also... an unsung hero of this run. Just getting all of this regeneration so efficiently, so early is really good. Black Belt was pretty nice because while we ended up with a lot of harvesting, this is a low economy character. Minus 50% material drop from enemies is very bad for your economy, obviously. So Black Belt helped offset that significantly by making each material that we got worth more, even though we got less of it. The fishhook was horrible as always, but still gave us a couple nice cursed items. I guess it was literally just the silver bullet. I mean, we cursed like a shady potion off of it, but I think, and I guess a banner on the very last wave, but I think it literally just cursed silver bullet, which was admittedly good, but not necessary for the build. So one of the worst fishhooks of all time, yet again. Recycling machine was fine here, but the real winners this run were the tentacles combined with Rock's high base crit chance, gave us 500 healing, which is ridiculous. We also ended up with great dodge, 270 materials from bags, 8 levels from the barnacle, and 6 regen from baby squid. Not as good as it often is, but still very good. So overall, I would say this is a very solid run. A little bit nerve-wracking in the early game because I was behind economically. If you play it yourself, I would buy more baits in the first couple waves in order to get further ahead of the power curve, and you should just be able to get a fairly smooth win from there. Alright, my friends, hope that you have enjoyed this run, and of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like, helps me out with the algorithm, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, friends. I'll catch you next time.